Hi, welcome to the Dixon Gallery and Gardens in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm Phil, I'm one of the docents here, and I'm standing in the Plow Gallery with part of our current exhibition, America's Impressionism, Echoes of a Revolution. We have over 50 works by a number of American artists who were very influential in the late 1800s and early 1900s. I want to talk today about a couple of works by William Merritt Chase, one of the best-known artists of this period. Chase was born in Indiana in 1849, so he was just a little younger than most of the French Impressionists of this period. He knew at an early age that he wanted to be an artist, and so by age 20, he was in New York studying at the American Academy of Design. But that was not enough for Chase. He wanted to go to Europe, and so in 1872, he left to study in Europe. But he didn't go to Paris like most of his contemporaries. Instead, he went to Munich, to the Royal Academy of Arts. He said he felt like there would be fewer distractions in Munich than in Paris. It turned out to be a good choice for Chase. He met two other American artists there who became lifelong friends, Frank Duveneck and John Twachtman, who are both represented in this show as well. He studied in Munich for 6 years, and the program there was more traditional, following the style of the old masters, more realistic. But Chase learned his lessons well, and at the end of 6 years, they asked him to stay on as an instructor. But he had already decided he wanted to return to New York. And so in 1878, he came back and began to work in New York City and to teach at the Art Students League. He also rented space at the famous 10th Street studio building where he set up his own studio, filled it with antiques, with costumes, and used it as a place to meet with his clients and also to do his own work. In 1881, Chase returned to Europe, and this time he did go to Paris. He had a chance to meet Alfred Stevens, the Belgian artist, and Stevens recommended that Chase stop trying to paint like the old masters. And so he began to lighten his style and loosen his brushwork and lighten his palette. He continued to work in America, in New York, and two important things happened in 1886. First, there was a huge exhibition of Impressionist works that was brought to America and influenced Chase and many other young American artists. The second thing that happened is he married Alice Gerson. She was 20 at the time, and Chase was 37. But the marriage seemed to work well. They stayed together the rest of Chase's life, and they had 8 children together. After their marriage, they moved into Chase's parents' home in Brooklyn, and he began to paint a series of works in the parks in Brooklyn, perhaps influenced by scenes set in the parks in Paris by the Impressionists. Later, they moved to Manhattan, and Chase painted a series of works in Central Park. And this work that we're standing in front of today is from that period, about 1890. It's called Early Stroll in the Park, and it's probably his wife who is the model for the painting. It's set at the Bethesda Terrace and Bethesda Fountain in Central Park. And it's named after the Bethesda Fountain that's mentioned in the Bible. And the story in the Bible, it says whenever an angel would stir up the waters, that the first person in would be healed. And the statue here is called the Angel of the Waters. And so Chase has used this as his setting, and notice the slender perpendicular figure in the white dress. So sort of echoes this perpendicular figure of the angel over the fountain. The figure is called the Angel of the Waters. Notice we've got bright sunlight in the background with the greens and the blues and the clouds, and just a hint of red lining the flower beds here, which sort of echoes the red at the base of the fountain. And then in the foreground, we have the interplay of sunlight and shadow, which the Impressionists loved. They were so fascinated by the interplay of light and shadow and color that they wanted to explore that. And that was one of the reasons the Impressionists believed it was important to paint outdoors or en plein air, because you had to be outside to really see the light. And so that's what Chase has done in this wonderful work. And you really need to see this in person to appreciate all the colors and the way he's used this. So I hope you'll come to the Dixon and see it for yourself. There's another work by Chase just across the way, so we're going to step over there and I'll meet you there in just a moment. Here we have another work by William Merritt Chase called Seaside Flowers. Now, in addition to Chase's own work as an artist, he was very influential as a teacher. He taught at the Art Students League in New York. He also commuted to Philadelphia, taught at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, and for 12 years, he taught at the Shinnecock Hills Summer School of Art on Long Island. Shinnecock Hills was a community about 90 miles from New York City. A group of ladies there decided they wanted to have an art school that would focus on outdoor painting, and they asked Chase to come and teach. So in 1891, he began teaching there. They built a house that Chase could use. He brought his family for the summer and would stay and teach, and would attract sometimes 100 to 150 students that would come to study art with Chase for the summer. The schedule was carefully organized. Mondays and Tuesdays were what they called Chase days. On Monday, he would set up the students' works on easels, and he would give them critiques of their work while the other students listened. Then on Tuesdays, he would paint a painting as he talked and explained what he was doing and why. They said he painted very quickly, but he could talk at the same time and teach. And then the rest of the week, the students were free to do their own work while Chase painted in his studio. And this continued until 1902. And at that time, Chase decided to begin going back to Europe for the summer and taking students with him on art expeditions. But this was a fantastic time, and Chase had an enormous impact on the American art scene through his teaching and through the work of his students. This is a work that he did during that period. It's probably his wife and some of his children out in the countryside of Shinnecock Hills, and it's very reminiscent of some of the Impressionist works out in the countryside around Paris, women and children walking in the beautiful French countryside. And so Chase is echoing that same style here. I think it's important to realize that Impressionism in Paris by about 1890 had run its course. But in America, Impressionism really continued for another generation, primarily through the work of Chase and others who passed this on to their students. So I hope you'll come to the Dixon, see some of these wonderful works for yourself, and appreciate the American style of Impressionism, which was not just a copy, but really a new development moving beyond the Impressionism of France.